Let's look ahead to week 15 in the NBA. How does the schedule play out? How can we take advantage or maybe not take advantage of the schedule? Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I'm taking broad spectrum placebos. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Double bang it. Listen to the audio and the video, and thank you already for giving me the subscription that is so hard to earn from people at times, and I appreciate you guys doing that. Thumb it up, comments, bells. You know how we roll. Week 15. Last week, week 14, current week actually, was a really, really good schedule, and I praised it. I said it was so good. Look at these days. 7s and 8s and 6s and 9s and all that sort of stuff. It was great. Week 15, it's not as bad as it could be. Could be worse. It's not great. And in terms of streaming, it's actually pretty rough. And there are just a ton of games. We've been sort of leading up to this. We've been talking about how there's a lot of these big 5 and 8 game sort of stretches for a lot of teams happening. And it sort of not culminates because it can still continue. But in this week, week 15, there's just a lot of games being played. We've got 12 games to start things off on Monday. 5 on Tuesday, 10 on Wednesday, 4 on Thursday, 10 on Friday, 6 on Saturday, 9 on Sunday. It's not a terrible week, but there are potentially 3 non-streamable days there: Monday, Wednesday, Friday. 12, 10, 10. Now, depending on your league, you might be able to do it on Wednesday. You might be able to stream on Friday. You probably won't on Monday. You'll definitely be able to do it Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. The other thing is that it's great this week that we don't have any 2 or 3 game days. I love that. But it is a very just volume-heavy week. There are a lot of games. So if you're in Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl, for example, you're going to have to make a lot of choices regarding who you start or sit, because you will hit that 40-game mark very easily. Like some weeks, you have to sort of scrounge around. This week, no. You have got a lot of games being played. And you can tell because the last couple of weeks, we've had like 13 teams play 4 games, 14 teams, 15 teams, 22 teams this week play 4 games. 22 teams. So playing 3 games this week is a disadvantage. If you are here on the video side, you can see all of those teams that play 4 games: Boston, Charlotte, Cleveland, Denver, Houston, Indiana, the Clippers, the Lakers, the Grizzlies, the Heat, Bucks, Wolves, Knicks, Thunder, Magic, Sixers, Suns, Blazers, Kings, Spurs, Jazz, Wizards. Wow. They all play 4 games for the week. 22 teams. That is a lot, man. There are 8 teams, obviously. Well, not obviously, because there might have been a 2-game week. There is not. There are 8 teams that play 3 games. Atlanta, Brooklyn, Chicago, Dallas, Detroit, the Warriors, the Pelicans, and the Raptors. So, on the surface, that's bad. In a weekly format league, that's way worse to have those players on that team. In a daily changes league, well, as you're well aware, it's going to be quite different depending on everything individual about your league and when those games take place. Because, boy, we have some pretty significant changes or significant gaps or deltas, if you want to get really fancy with the term, between the valuation of teams. So how does it look? Daily changes leagues. What are we paying attention to? There are 6 teams that play 3 quality games. There's only 4 quality game days, going by my definition, on the slate, and these teams play 3 of them. Boston, Indiana, Lakers, Knicks, Sixers, Jazz have 3 quality games. They are all 4-game teams, but they have the 3 quality games. So there's no 3-game team that plays 3 quality games. There's obviously no team that plays 4 quality games. We've got those 6 that play 3. But this next list, there are, how many there? 13 teams that play 1 quality game. And they are all 4-game teams. That's just a lot, man. Charlotte, Denver, Houston, the Clippers, Miami, Minnesota, OKC, Orlando. Phoenix, Portland, Sacramento, the Spurs, and the Wizards. One of their four games is a quality game. That's it. And so you might get excited about a fringe player on Charlotte or maybe KCP on Denver, or hang on, I try Cam Whitmore in Houston, or I'm going to have Mason Plumlee for the Clippers, or I'm going to have Jaime Jaquez, or Haywood Highsmith in Miami, or I'm going to go to Kevin Huerter, or the pencil, Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. When they only have one quality game. That's it. So is it worth it? Probably not. The Pelicans are the only team that don't play a quality game for the week. So, if you were streaming in the guys, like a Namua legend Jordan Hawkins, or a Larry Nance maybe, or you were debating what to do with Herb Jones or Trey Murphy, you might play them 0 times next week. 0. They've only got 3 games in total, but you might not play them a single game. So have a look at your schedule, because those sort of fringe players, if you're playing them 0 games, is it even worth it? If we're already debating, do I hold them, and then they don't, and you don't use them at all, what is your point? And again, just to highlight how things can alter in fantasy, you might be in the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl, where you have a games limit. So then that situation where I go, well, if they play 0 games, you actually use them, is it worth holding? But if I've got a games limit, then that's okay, because then I can stash players when there are a lot of other bulk volume stuff going on. So that's where all the nuances come. I try and give as much broad spectrum information regarding fantasy basketball. I try and give people individual tools to deal with things in their individual league as much as I can. That is also part of the way that we run things at Basketball Monster. But I can't individually sit and do every single thing on your team and how it all works out, because in some spots, holding on to one of those Pelicans fringe guys makes no sense. They're already droppable in most spots anyway. They don't play a quality game for the week, but if you're in a spot where you've already got a lot of games and your games are maxed out for the week, then it hurts you not at all, because you don't need that spot to stream. You can just hold on to those guys and wait to see if things change. So my advice to drop one of those players will be bang on for some people, and it will be the reverse advice for somebody else. And as woe is me, that it makes it hard in this job to be able to do that, because you can't cater to everybody. It's impossible. But again, every now and then, there'll be a sidebar every show that I do talk about something that is not really related to the topic at hand. Well, this is, I guess. But more just providing that information of how to break it down without just... And I never want you to just listen to everything that I say and say, well, Josh said this is 100% what I have to do in all spots. That's ridiculous. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to tell you what to do in any sort of situation, or to have everything I say go unquestioned. That's obviously ridiculous as well. But I want to provide the information and the understanding of how to approach it, and hopefully get some dick jokes in as well. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. That's what brings home the winning trophy, but it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors have everything that you need to maintain your vehicle, level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, more, whatever. If you're into speed, power, performance, style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts that you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to US customers. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Happy Super Bowl to those who celebrate. From FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook. You've gone a little early there, FanDuel, but I guess this ad is supposed to be running after the conference championship games. But Super Bowl Sunday is coming up in a few weeks, and it's all about scoring the best seat on the couch, grabbing your favorite football snacks, and placing some super bets. FanDuel has so many ways for you to end the season with a W, or 2, or 3. You can all bet on who's going to win the Super Bowl straight up, but you have bets for which players will score touchdowns, how many points will be scored, totals, sides, all that sort of stuff. You know that FanDuel is going to have everything that you want covered. New customers join today, you'll get $200 in bonus bets, $200 if your first bet of $5 or more wins. So a new deal now. This one here, you get $200 and your $5 bet has to win. So go to fanduel.com/lockedon to sign up. That is fanduel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. That's a new one. All right. So we've talked quality games. Let's transition you guys into the stream zone. How are we streaming the week? Well, it is a harder week because we're going to rule out Monday, Wednesday, Friday as a general, all-encompassing no-stream rule. Again, check your individual state laws for your own in particular situation. This advice is not intended to be anything, whatever, you know what I'm saying. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, we stream. So we attack the Tuesday, Thursday pseudo back-to-back. You might be able to use Wednesday, you might not. But attack the Tuesday, Thursday pseudo. There are 6 teams. That's a good start. Boston, Indiana, the Lakers, the Knicks, the Sixers, the Jazz. So not going to find a lot there in Boston. Maybe it's a Cornet situation. Indiana, you'll find a million guys. It might be Hill, it might be Mathurin, it might be Smith, might be Neesmith, might be Toppin, might be McConnell, might be Nempire. There's a million guys you could use for that Tuesday, Thursday combo. The Lakers, you'll have a real crack at Jared Vanderbilt bar, maybe a Taurean Prince. The Knicks, there's a lot too. DiVincenzo, if he's available. Josh the Hitman Hart, he's an option. Maybe it's not that much. Philadelphia, he's not as much there. Oubre would be one we'd look at. Nick Batum, obviously. And then the Jazz, it's your Chris Duns, Keontae George, Kelly Olynyk, those sort of players to get the 2 games in for the price of 1 ad. And then the only team that plays the weekend back-to-back is the Bucks. We'll have Glenn Rivers, MD, coaching them. We'll see what they do with their rotation, but someone like a Jay Crowder might step up. If Leaky Beasley has rightfully been dropped, he becomes a stream. Same with Bob Portis. We can stream them on the weekend. That is 4 games played for 2 waiver ads. That leaves you 2 spare ads for the general default setting of 4 waiver ads. Another one of those things where I can't tell you how to run your league or how you run your team because I can only tell you what the majority of people do, and that's not even, I don't even know if it's the majority. What's the term? Is it plurality? Where it's not more than 50%, but it's still more than everything else? Is that the term? I'm going to go check that. I need one of my other sponsors, Grammarly, to help me. And when you know it, bang on. Plurality was correct. Yeah. So the plurality, Jesus Christ, plurality of leagues, I think have 4 waiver ads. So you get 4 games, 2 ads, 2 spare ads, which you can use for spot streams, or you can use for stashes, or you can use for players who step up into big games and big roles due to injuries or whatever other scenario occurs, but they don't necessarily play on the good games during the week. Because again, when we talk quality games, it's about what are you doing with the 10th, 11th, 12th guy on your roster. If someone steps up into a huge role, the way that, say, Vince Williams has in Memphis, well, it doesn't matter what his schedule is. He becomes a top 7 player, a top 8 player where he just starts every day. It doesn't matter what the schedule is. So that's also, I think, something that sometimes gets pushed away. Some people will often just equate, well, if I got someone off the wire, then I can only get them depending on how the quality games shake out. But if they move into a spot that's good enough, well, you just start them every day. And then someone else shifts into that streaming sort of zone. Cool? Hope so. Schedule quirks. This is where it gets really important. I say really important as we play fantasy basketball, but you know. The Pelicans don't play on the weekend. They're the only team that doesn't play on the weekend. But, get ready for this. This is going to knock you out. It's not, but it's interesting. We can talk and you can hear this and surface level fantasy analysis or fantasy schedule views or whatever you do would say, I'm going to add this guy 4 games next week. All right? Basic sort of stuff. We're not about basic here. We're the extra bitches with diamonds on our nails. We want to look at what does the games mean. Because adding someone because of a 4-game week is pointless if you're not going to use that bloke until Sunday. Because there are 16 teams who don't play a single quality game until the weekend. I don't think I've ever seen a schedule played out that way this season. Maybe ever. I'm sure it has. Maybe I haven't paid attention to it. But if you add someone, and 13 of these teams are 4-game teams. Charlotte, Denver, Houston, the Clippers, the Heat, the Wolves, the Thunder, the Magic, the Suns, the Blazers, the Kings, the Spurs, the Wizards, the Nets, Mavericks, and Pistons. If you add one of those blokes onto your team, you might not use them in your roster until 1 game across the weekend. So, a 4-game scenario of Cam Whitmore. Keep using Cam. I'm holding Jabari Smith, hoping his ankle problem is good. The Cockroach, Jaime Jaquez, Lou Dort, Josh Giddey, Markel Fultz, Jalen Suggs, Jabari Walker. Drew Eubanks if Yusuf Nurkic is out. Is it even... And I'm saying those names, but I'm not telling you exactly whether they're droppable or holdable or whatever. But those guys from those 16 teams, if you add them, and I'm going to guess they're going to be your worst player or second worst player, you won't actually probably put them into an active lineup until Saturday at the earliest. Whereas there are 14 other teams where you can get a game in on Tuesday or a game in on Thursday. And maybe one on the weekend as well. So, is having zeros on your roster because they've got a 4-game week, is that worth it? Waiting for Sunday? Do I have to... The answer's no. Yeah. But again, it's individual situations on your team. But that is stark to me. And I'm not sure you'll find that get mentioned in many spots. Maybe you will. Maybe I'm underselling how that gets reported. But a 4-game week is not a 4-game week. Wow, that's deep. 12th commandment. That's what she said. Today's episode is brought to you by a new bunch of legends. The legends over at Quiz. Quiz. That's Quiz with 3 I's, by the way. This is a way that you can test your NBA knowledge. Very, very easy stuff. In fact, I'm going to go and have a look and find some really intriguing questions to ask you blokes. So, for example, there's a question on here. What is the nickname of the Heat's mascot? It's Bernie. Bernie, there you go. What a name. What is the nickname of the Pacers mascot? Boomer. A lot of mascot questions. The Lakers play their home games at which arena? Crypto.com arena. Quiz with 3 I's is the next generation trivia experience. It's the world's first platform where you can also earn money playing knowledge games. And for all you Locked On fans and NBA fans, there's an NBA quiz game where you can test your knowledge and win real cash. Play with friends or other fans and let your knowledge shine all the way to the bank. You can play without downloading anything. Just go to app.quiz.com and start playing today. So, go to app.quiz, QUIIZ.com to test your knowledge and win cash today. That's Quiz with 3 I's, just like a 3-pointer. Woo. Play now, showcase your skills, and take home cash prizes. App.quiz.com, where fans become champions. You a champion? Get championed. Champs. All right. Let's look at the 3 games in 4 nights situation, because that is always important when trying to evaluate not only rest, but declines in performances. Because as we know, the NBA doesn't believe that any of that happens. No increase in risk, none of that. We just love back-to-backs because it's more money. It's awesome. It's great. Sunday through Wednesday, there are 5 teams. The Bulls, the Thunder, Magic, Suns, Blazers play 3 games in 4 nights. Monday, Thursday, Boston, Cleveland, Lakers, Knicks, Sixers, Jazz. The Pacers are the only team that has a Tuesday, Friday, 3-game in 4-night stretch. And then Wednesday, Saturday, it's Cleveland, Sacramento, the Spurs. Across the weekend, I've realized I've just screwed this. Oh, no, there is, that's it. Thursday through Sunday, there was no teams, I believe, that had the 3 games in 4 nights. And now I'm just going to double check that to make sure I didn't screw that up. And lucky I did check it because I did screw it up. It's Indiana and Memphis who have the 3 games in 4 nights, Thursday through Sunday. All right, if we look at 4-game in 6-night runs, there's no 4 and 5s, thankfully. 4 games in 6, so Sunday through Friday, we go Indiana, Memphis, OKC, Orlando, Phoenix, and Portland. Monday through Saturday, it's Cleveland, the Lakers, the Knicks, the Sixers, the Kings, and the Spurs. And then the Pacers, you see the Pacers' name come up a ton, right, at the moment. They just got a really heavy part of their schedule. They've got a Tuesday, Sunday, 4-game in 6-night stretch. There are no 5-game in 7-night runs, but there is there are a lot of teams playing the 5 in 8. So Sunday to Sunday, it's Indiana, Memphis, OKC, Orlando, Phoenix, and Portland. And then Monday to Monday is Charlotte, Cleveland, the Clippers, the Lakers, the Sixers, and your Sacramento Kings. What about back-to-backs? The Sunday, Monday back-to-back. Heading into the week, understanding that Monday is a 12-game day. Memphis, OKC, Orlando, Phoenix, Portland. What you're mainly looking at there is rests. Do they do anything with Brogdon in Portland? Does Memphis rest Jaren Jackson or Santi Aldama at all? Thunder should be all right. Chet's played every single game this season. I tweeted this out. Sidebar. Maybe we call it something better. But anyway, I tweeted this list out of all the players who have played every game this season. It was a relatively lengthy list, right? And I was like, what has stood out here? And there were the amount of people on that list who played every game this season who had many so many injuries in the past that had cost them entire seasons. Brooke Lopez, Chet Holmgren, Colin Sexton. It was like a crazy thing, which again, always, and because the data does not lie, leads into my theory of you cannot draft players based on injury history. You can't, no, that's not true. You can't draft somebody based on the fact that they didn't get hurt the year prior, because it will cause you to fall completely off your face. But a lot of people misinterpreted the tweet. They misinterpreted thinking that I was saying, hey, look how good these guys are. These are great targets for fantasy. No, that's not what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you in that sort of tweet is that these sort of guys who have played every game, that's great. There are some carryovers. Looney, Bridges, Harrison Barnes. These guys played every game last season. They played every game this season. Doesn't mean that happens forever. Kevon Looney missed his first 2 seasons, basically. That doesn't mean that's what happens. But people seem to, look at that. Man, someone said, I'm definitely, because Chet played every game, I have to draft Chet next year 100%. He said 200% actually. I'm drafting him in 200% next season. Because look at him, he's played every game. Okay. It's not how any of that works. Because one of the reasons that people were avoiding Chet in drafts was he's never going to stay healthy, is he? Missed the whole season. How can you possibly have him top 10 in your dynasty? How could you do that? He's just never going to be healthy. And your opinions, you collectively, just switch so fast. And my point is that these guys that you rely upon, there were 10 guys who played 82 games last season. The guys that you rely upon to play every game, and you draft them for that reason, it doesn't pan out. There are isolated incidences, but it does not pan out as a general rule. And focusing on that is a bad strategy. Because the guys who played 79 games and up last season was Tari Eason, Trey Murphy, Vooch. These guys have all missed significant time this season. KJ Martin is out of the rotation now. So many of those things happened. Complete sidebar. But again, I really want you to understand this. And I will do it again in the off-season and the preseason. I'll show you again the data that I am guessing will prove the same thing yet again as it does every year. That games played are not a correlated state year on year. Sunday, Tuesday, back-to-backs. This is a pseudo back-to-back, heading from week 14 into 15. Atlanta, Chicago, Indiana, and Toronto. That's a good target to end the week. Monday, Tuesday, harder to stream on the Monday. Boston, Lakers, Knicks, Sixers, and Jazz. The Tuesday, Wednesday combo, it's just Chicago. Remember, Wednesday's got the 10-game day on, so it might not even be streamable, but even guys like a Dosunmu or Pat Williams are having some value with Levine out. Tuesday to Thursday, Boston, Indiana, the Lakers, the Knicks, the Sixers, and the Jazz. That's your real key stream pseudo back-to-back there. Wednesday, Thursday, you've got the Cavs who've got that combo. Thursday, Friday, which heads into a 10-game Friday, harder to stream. It's Indiana and Memphis. Thursday to Saturday is a nice little pseudo back-to-back as well. Cleveland, the Lakers, the Knicks, and the Sixers. Friday to Saturday, which includes the 10-game Friday, is Atlanta, the Warriors, the Kings, and the Spurs. And like I said earlier, your weekend back-to-back is only the Bucks. Sorry, Glenn Rivers' Milwaukee Bucks. If you're in a weekly league, these are guys I would look to add. They've got 4 games, and I think you might actually be able to start them. And some of those names are not guys you're going to be super excited about. And when you're in a weekly league versus a daily league, it's very different. I already talked about how Portland's schedule, Charlotte's schedule is not particularly strong because they don't play a quality game until the weekend. But in a weekly league, it doesn't matter. So I've got Luke Kennard on there. I've got Nick Richards on there. I've got Jabari Walker on there. I've got Nico Batum on there. Aaron Neesmith on there. And Lil John Concha. Okay. So they're guys I think that are sitting there on the wire in over 50% of leagues that you could go out and grab. Someone said to me, they left a comment about Nick Richards, how I've been banging on. And go, Josh, you keep saying about this for Nick Richards. I think all Yahoo's numbers are off because he's rostered in every one of my leagues. The reason I know that he's not rostered in every league is because, A, Yahoo's numbers tell me he's available in 60% plus of leagues. The reason I know that is, there's an accuracy to it, is the fact that certain players, like Vince Williams, for example, went from 0% rostered over the last 3 weeks up to 66% rostered. So if there was only 38% of active teams and they were all the ones that had added Nick Richards, then Vince Williams wouldn't have exceeded up to 65%. That's number one, how I know that. But I also know it. As soon as he had that 20-point game 2 games ago, people go, man, should I be going and, what do you think? Go and add Nick Richards? Because I hear it. Because I hear people ask others, or see it in many different spots. But again, the way you can easily know that those numbers aren't fake and he is still available in a crazy amount of leagues is the fact that somebody like Vince Williams, or even like GG Jackson, who had that one blow-up game and he jumped to 45% rostered straight away. Well, Nick sits at 36. That's how you know that number's not fake. Yes, we have got probably 30% inactive leagues or leagues with multiple inactive teams. That is true at the moment, yes. But it's not 60% of leagues that are inactive, because otherwise Vince wouldn't be sitting at 65% rostered. And that is the end of a wild ride of a show. Don't forget what you need to do. I haven't even told you to do it. Go pre-like the trade deadline show. You know what I did? I actually bumped the time. I was going to start 1:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to start 1 p.m. Eastern now, because I'm an idiot. But I'm going to start 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to go for 3 hours, I think, on that show. 2 hours pre, maybe 1 hour post on the trade deadline. Let's hit 1,000 thumbs. Go and do it. Like it, subscribe it, notification bell it. And did I even hit this little subscribe thing I hear just to give you another quick little reminder? Go thumb that up. Guys, we're done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone, and watching. See ya.